pity the people who have $100,000 to spend on a new sports car. Just look at the options. In this case, we have the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500, and the Porsche 911 Carrera. Each one of these names have been around for 50 to 60 years, and these modern versions have never been as good as they are now.
Consider this too, we have here pretty much every possible drivetrain configuration for a proper sports car. Front-engined, mid-engined, rear-engined, and every way of getting air into an engine. Au naturel, supercharged, and turbocharged.
So the question is, which one of these cars should you buy? Well, Edmunds bought that Corvette and Edmunds bought that GT500. We haven't bought the 911 though. Alistair's pretty bummed about that. But you can see what it's like to live with each of these cars by clicking the links below to view our long-term fleet. Now, as for the 911, we don't own it, but we have spent a lot of time evaluating various models in this current generation, and everything from the base Carrera all the way up to the Turbo S.
That's right, Carlos, but this is the first time we've had these three cars together on a track. In this film, we're going to test them against the clock, we're going to push them to the limit and beyond, we're going to fry in the desert, and then we're going to tell you what makes each of them so special and why you might choose one over the other.
Before we do though, make sure to, power slide over that subscribe button, hit the notification bell too while you're at it.
And check out a new feature on Edmunds where you can get a cash offer for your car. Go to edmunds.com/sellmycar. See what we did there?
I do. I really do.
Genius.
With 760 horsepower, the GT500 is easily the most powerful car here. It isn't even close. But while the 5.2-liter supercharged V8 gets a lot of attention, there's actually some pretty sophisticated stuff happening in the components attached to it and surrounding it as well, including a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission and, like near magic, magnetically fluid-filled reacting shocks at each corner. Now, we didn't get the carbon fiber track package, so that means this doesn't have super sticky tires and it doesn't have exotic carbon fiber wheels, but that package costs $18,500. As it sits, this one packs a ton of value at just over 80 grand. Also, we happen to like the look of this gurney flap versus the wing on the carbon fiber track pack car anyway.
Now, my fellow reviewer Alana Scher famously matches the colour of her fingernails to the colour of the car, but as you can see, I've gone one better and fully absorbed myself into the Corvette. Anyway, enough of my wardrobe malfunctions, let's get on with the story of the car. Now, unlike the Mustang and 911, which persists with the same configuration they've had for decades, this Corvette, codenamed C8, has had a radical transformation. The 6.2-litre V8 with 495 horsepower now resides here between the rear axle and your butt cheeks. Now, in theory, that improves pretty much everything you care about for a sports car. Like the Mustang and the 911, this has a double clutch transmission here with 8 forward speeds. Now, when we configured our car, we went for the mid-spec LT2 together with the Z51 track package and sport seats. Now that adds about 20 grand to the price of the Corvette, bringing it to around $80,000, pretty much identical to the price of our GT500.
What a group you're in when your twin-turbo 6-cylinder makes the least amount of power. Yeah, with 379 horsepower, this Porsche certainly seems outgunned, but we know that for decades 911s have always punched well above their weight class. Also consider too that while the Mustang and the Corvette have had radical changes from generation to generation with plenty of misses, the team at Porsche have spent decades honing the 911 formula with seldom faults. Now, this is the only car here that's still available with a manual transmission. Yeah, you can get the Mustang with a manual, but not the GT500, so just bear with me. So some would argue that the fact that you can get a manual in a 911 means it's the only true sports car here. This one though is the dual clutch automatic transmission, and we did that for 2 reasons. One, it's the transmission most people choose when they're offered the option, and 2, it's gonna make this car faster in a straight line and around a road course, and this is gonna need all the help it can get. Now, this one as it sits is $116,000, making it quite an outlier. But we feel that if you option a 911 Carrera sensibly, you can end up much closer to $100,000. But next, let's head to our test track and see how these cars do. There's a near 800-pound spread between the lightweight 911 and the hulking Shelby. The Corvette, it falls somewhere in between. You'd expect the GT500 to be the fastest in a straight line, but that's only true at the quarter mile. With their engines and transmissions pressing down directly on their rear tires, the Corvette and 911 are actually quicker to 60 mile an hour on our street surface. Despite their differences, all three posted 11-second quarter mile times within 0.8 of a second of each other. It may be outgunned in power, but the 911 put down the shortest stopping distance, followed again by the Corvette and the Shelby. It's worth noting that all these vehicles stopped within 8 feet of each other. The 911 again showed the most grip around the skid pad, followed closely by the Corvette. The GT500 may not have generated the best figures, but it was still over a 1G average. I'm going to be very honest. I love this car. This is just sweet. So I'm a big fan of the new Corvette, and for a lot of reasons that I don't know if we have enough time to explain in this comparison video. So chiefly mid-engine layout. The engine is just behind me. That's a very exotic setup in the year 2020. Yes, less expensive cars have had this kind of setup before, but it's really difficult to find for this money in 2020. So it seems exotic, but the engine itself isn't. It's still a pushrod 6.2 liter V8, and I really like that. Now, that's unfair because it's a really advanced pushrod 6.2 liter V8. It's got, cylinder deactivation, it's got direct injection, it's got all kinds of fun technology on top of it. It's a dry sump oil engine. This is a lot of advanced stuff, but it's still compact, it's still lightweight, and it still makes nearly 500 horsepower. And the fact that it does all this without the need of a turbocharger or a supercharger is something I really appreciate, because you can't match the sound to my ears and response to my foot of a naturally aspirated engine. It's just delightful. And what makes it even sweeter is this is the last naturally aspirated V8 mid-engine car in the world. That's a special thing, Corvette or otherwise. And the way it delivers that power through this dual clutch transmission is extremely, extremely good. I even like the square steering wheel. I know Alistair doesn't, but I do. I like this car. I like this car!
So what do we think of the square steering wheel? Personally, not a fan. Don't like it in an Aston Martin, don't like it in a Corvette. It's okay in a racing car where you only ever apply that much lock, but in a road car it just sort of feels a bit awkward to me. It's kind of an answer to a question we didn't need to ask. But honestly, small point. Let's get over it. Once you get past the square wheel, the steering itself is also a huge leap forward from Corvettes of old. To be honest, I found some Corvettes a little bit intimidating to drive, simply because you had no idea what the front wheels were doing. You kind of turn the wheel and hope that something would happen. This is much, much better. Yes, it isn't quite as tactile as the 911. There is still a slight filter between input and response, or between the road surface and what you can actually sense through the rim of the wheel, but it's so much better, and it gives you so much more confidence that you can now place the car accurately on the road. And of course it feels very different because it's mid-engined, and I'm thrilled that Chevy's managed to retain a proper mid-engine feel. They haven't just kind of come up with this configuration then engineered something that feels like any other Corvette, but you have a real sense of it kind of pivoting around you in a way that only a car with an engine in the middle can do. So we went for the Z51 track package, then added on MagnaRide. So we spent the best part of $7,000 on suspension upgrades, but honestly, when you're out here, we reckon it's worth it. On a highway, the ride in the Corvette is as supple and comfortable as it is in many luxury cars, and it's better than both the 911 and especially the Mustang. And yet when you get on a track, you can change all the settings, put it to track mode, and suddenly the whole thing stiffens up and gives you the control and the confidence that you really want. And a need from a sports car. It's a terrific setup. My God, does it sound good? That V8 whale, and it is mighty fast. So let's start with the obvious. It's been a long time since I've driven a car that is less dominated by the engine. Maybe the Ferrari Superfast, but that's about the only example I can think of. This car has 760 horsepower. Now, that's more than twice as much as the 911. Now, just think about that, more than twice as much as the Carrera, and it dominates everything. It dominates your view forward. It actually blocks your view forward, and orally you're kind of assaulted you're assaulted not only by oversteer, but also by this cacophony of supercharger whine and an extremely naughty exhaust note, especially if you leave it in track, which, let's face it, is the only mode you're ever going to run in. And what's nice about it is it makes every single journey an adventure, every little kind of poodle to the shops. And that's what I love about it. It's fun at 30 miles an hour. But you've got to concentrate, even if you're talking to camera, because it will go sideways very, very quickly. Now, when the GT500 spec was announced, there's a lot of chat on social about the fact that there was no manual gearbox option, but to be honest, this double clutch transmission works exceptionally well, and believe me, on a track like this, with 760 horsepower, you've got enough going on without worrying about dumping a clutch and changing gear. This car keeps you busy, believe me. It's so much fun. In a completely sort of hooligan way, but at the same time it's not intimidating because it's so well set up, so well sorted, so well honed. There's so much attention to detail in the chassis development that, unlike GT500s of the past, which to be honest could be downright terrifying, this thing, I wouldn't say it's a pussycat with so much power, but you know, it's not intimidating. Oh boy.
I think the engine and the transmission overshadow the GT500 because this is actually a really capable car when it comes to handling. Yes, this isn't the carbon fiber track pack. This doesn't have the exotic carbon fiber wheels. It's not track optimized, and yet it still works. It's still drivable, and most importantly, it's still just terrific fun. That's the thing. You know, hey, lap times are lap times. On a tight track like this would probably not be as fast as the Corvette, maybe the 911, but on a track with a lot of straightaway, you're definitely going to be leaving a lot of fellow track day enthusiasts in the dust. But the handling gets overshadowed, and I gotta say, it's not just good for a Mustang, it's genuinely good. And when I say that, it relates to the control you have over this car and the steering as well. It's a nicely balanced steering wheel with regard to the effort it asks of you. It does a lot to relay how much control you have over this rather portly car. And yeah, the ride is firm, but it has to be to give you the level of control that you get. This is a heavy car. This is a really heavy car. Significantly so, especially versus the 911. So it takes a lot more to make it work when you're driving fast around corners. And yet it does. It really, truly does. You just gotta be aware that engine is always there. I will never get tired of that. Ever get tired of that. And so I think when you look at the cars that we have here, this may seem by comparison to the 911 and the Corvette like more of a Neanderthal by virtue of it being a Mustang with 760 horsepower and rear-wheel drive. But I think that's an unfair placement for this car to be in. It's only like that because the other cars don't look that way, and this is the closest to that representation. It's not fair though, because this thing really works. This is really a knockout of a car with, you know, the world's worst fuel economy. You can read more about that in our long-term updates and blog, but you gotta understand how bad the fuel economy is in this car. Everything else though, this Mustang delivers it like it delivers 760 horsepower to the rear axle. Like this. And it revs too, it revs. That's a beautiful, 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 beautiful thing. I love it. I love it. Let's go. That is a beautiful, beautiful sound. And you may not expect to have that sound when you have turbos attached to your 6-cylinder engine, but yet Porsche still delivers it. And I think that speaks, oh, it's so sweet, to the overall Porsche driving experience. Yes, this doesn't have the power. Its deficit is massive, especially versus the GT500. But I'll tell you, if you didn't look at the spec chart, you wouldn't think it would be that big of a difference. Only 379 horsepower, but what Porsche does with each of those horses is more than what most automakers can seem to do with the horses they have in their stable, to continue to torture the analogy. It may have to do with the throttle response. It may have to do with a variety of factors that I don't know about because I'm not an engineer. But I can tell you that as somebody who enjoys driving and enjoys that experience, the feel and response of this engine is still among the best in the business. Part of that response is definitely going to be attributable to the transmission. Dual clutch transmissions are like the de facto standard in performance cars these days. Consider every car here has a dual clutch transmission. There's something about how crisp the gear changes feel, how smooth the experience is, and when it's combined with the howl of the 6-cylinder engine, it just makes for a truly delightful driving experience. Oh, listen to that. Isn't that just lovely? Isn't that lovely?
So let's start with the basics. For me, this 911 has by far the best driving position. You can sit a lot lower in this car than you can in the others, and this wheel comes plenty far out to meet you, so you have a very kind of race car-esque position. Now, when Porsche introduced electrically assisted steering in the 991 version of the 911, we're pretty critical of it compared to the old hydraulic system, but over the years they've really refined it, and now it's terrific. You can really have a sense of what's happening on the road, what the front wheels are doing, and that really adds to the sense of agility and confidence that this car inspires. It also has by far the nicest steering wheel. I mean, can you imagine Porsche's German engineers sitting in Stuttgart thinking about a square steering wheel? Shall we have a square steering wheel in the 911? No. It seems crazy to me that a rear-engined Porsche actually is the most confidence inspiring of all these cars here. It's the least intimidating to drive. You can get into it and immediately go quickly, and that's not just because I'm familiar with 911s, it's because of the tactility and the feedback of the controls, the consistency of the operation of the brakes, of the steering, of the throttle, which again is a real Porsche hallmark. And the Corvette's got so much better for this generation, but they've still got a little way to go. As an everyday road car, it's fabulous. So what about this car's interior? Well, the Porsche is more expensive, but it certainly feels it inside. I mean, the 911 starts at $100,000, whereas the Mustang starts as a $30,000 rental car. And inside you can really feel that difference. Yes, it doesn't have the gadgets of the Corvette in particular, and yes, it's insane that you have to pay $1,000 for lane change keeping assist when you can get it on a $20,000 Nissan. But the quality of the materials, the integrity of the build, it feels that much more expensive compared to the other two, it really is a designer suit, and it's that sense of integrity. It feels like it'll last forever. Porsche's done an amazing job over the years of keeping that feeling of what a 911 is, and then just simply evolving it from generation to generation.
Well, what have we learned through all this? Well, we have three very different cars that all deliver fun, but in extremely different ways.
They do, and normally in these kind of group tests, we like to deliver a 1, 2, 3 verdict, but here we're going to treat things a bit differently because they're all such different cars that excel in their own ways. So what we're going to say is why you might choose one rather than the other. So let's start with the Shelby Mustang GT500.
It's probably the biggest outlier. It doesn't seem to fit in this world. It's the heaviest and has the most power, not just of these cars, but of pretty much anything you'd find on the road today, but it works.
It does. To be honest, when you think about a 760 horsepower Mustang, I thought it was a recipe for disaster, but I'm amazed how good it feels out on the circuit. It's not just an engine, it's really well executed the way it had. I mean, I haven't laughed as much in a car in a long time.
I haven't laughed as hard driving that car as anything in recent memory. It's just hilarious, but it's also more than a really good joke. It's a thoroughly engineered car that can work on the road, on the street, on the track just as well. I mean, the only thing that's truly bad is the fuel economy. I mean, it's just atrocious.
Yeah, as long as you can tolerate going to a gas station every 100 miles or so, then it's great.
100 miles might be optimistic. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, is the 911. It's the lightest, has the least power, but also it's the most expensive.
I guess it's confession time. When Carlos and I sat down and spec'd out this test, we thought the 911 would get blown away. It has less than half the power of the GT500, but honestly, just shows how little we actually know. I mean, 0 to 60, second fastest car here. On the quarter mile, third, but only just. It shows that horsepower really isn't everything, particularly when the horses are such thoroughbreds.
It's a lesson in knowing when to not read the spec chart, because if you just ignored the horsepower figures, you'd never expect the deficit that the 911 has. It's that good to drive, and we think it has quite a bit of value too. You certainly get your money's worth.
Yeah, it's clearly the most expensive car here, but it feels expensive. It doesn't feel like bad value, and to be honest, I've now driven the Carrera S, and the Turbo S, and this is my favorite 911. As an everyday road car, I think it's just about unbeatable.
Really, the only hard part will be explaining to your friends at the bar why you bought a car with just 379 horsepower.
I think you just got to park your ego, be comfortable in your skin, satisfied with your choice.
Yeah, talking about comfortable in your skin, let's talk about the Corvette. This is a truly special car, I feel.
It is. Again, when you think about a mid-engine Corvette, there's always the fear that they were going to somehow engineer it and it's going to feel like any other Corvette, but it really doesn't. It feels like a mid-engine sports car, even a supercar for half the price. They've done a terrific job. They've
done kind of the unthinkable by combining all the best attributes you would hope to get out of a mid-engined exotic, but also making it drivable, livable, and comfortable, and you can even take the roof off.
You can, and I think this might be the first Corvette. Yes, it doesn't quite have the quality and the engineering and integrity of the 911, but it's a lot cheaper. I think this might be the first Corvette that the 911 customer looks at and goes, yeah, maybe I'll have that and save a few grand.
Good reason why we awarded it our top-rated sports car last year. Now, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the links below to see more at edmunds.com. How much time do we have left here?
Probably about 20 minutes. GT500 for me.
I wanted to try, okay. I guess I'll drive the Corvette.